What's up guys, it's Snacks. Let's talk about pistol grip gimbals. To help you decide which gimbal is right for you, we're gonna have a head-to-head between the Zhiyun Crane, the Beholder EC1, and the Pilotfly H2. But before we dive into which one is right for you, let's talk about a couple important things you should know about pistol grip gimbals. The first thing you should know is that almost all of them are exactly the same. Even though some of them say they hold more weight, most of them have the same exact encoders, motors, and they all license the same exact simple BGC software to calibrate your gimbal. The sad part is most of the gimbals have terrible automatic calibration, which means you should actually figure out how to use the simple BGC software to properly calibrate your gimbal. This makes pistol grip gimbals very not user-friendly. You can either learn how to use simple BGC, I like how it's called simple, man. Or you can just keep returning your gimbals until you get one that actually works. That's because the software and firmware is constantly updated, which means a lot of them are calibrated completely different even if it's the same gimbal. Honestly, the main differences between most of all the gimbals that you see are size, weight, ergonomics, battery life, and that's it. The next important thing you should know is that a lot of them say that they can hold up to 5 pounds. But you should know that it's actually more important where the weight is than how much weight it can actually hold. Let's take a look at one of these gimbals to show you why a very front-heavy setup won't work for any pistol grip gimbal. When you need to balance your gimbal, you will have to slide it back and forth to compensate for where the load is. If you have a very front-heavy setup because you have a big-ass lens on it, like the Sigma 1835, you're gonna actually have to keep sliding it back, and eventually you'll hit the roll access motor, which means you can't use it. Now I'm not gonna show you how to balance or calibrate or show you how to use this thing. I'm gonna just go over the pros and cons, and hopefully that is enough to let you know which one is right for you. Okay, so the highlight reel for the Zhiyun Crane is that it has 32-bit MCU encoders, motors, thingies that talk to each other, but all of them do, so that's not really a highlight. Next one, it holds up to 2.65 pounds, and with firmware updates it can hold more. It can be trolled by the Zhiyun Crane app, which honestly is a complete disaster. Sometimes it crashes and never works, but when it does work, it's pretty cool. It's all right. You can control it wirelessly. You can kind of calibrate it. It has a 1/4-20 hole in the bottom, so you can add a quick release. It doesn't have any other 1/4-20 holes anywhere else on the unit, so you can't really hook up any arms and attach your microphones and monitors or whatever, dolls, I don't know. What do you hook up to your rigs? It also has a nifty little joystick so you can kind of aim and point the camera wherever you want. And it says that it has 6 to 12 hour battery life, but honestly it totally doesn't. It has 2 to 3 hours on a full charge, but you do get 2 sets of coupled batteries. You can upgrade it and get better batteries, but that costs more money. So this is what you get in the box. Speaking of the box, let's do an unboxing. I hope it's over. Another reason you should consider the Zhiyun Crane setup is because the pitch motor is on the right side of the camera. So if you're a GH4, GH3, GH5 user, you can totally flip out your screen. Mother of... Ha ha. Ha. See? I flipped it. Okay, so here's my review of the Zhiyun Crane, and hopefully this helps you out. So the out-of-the-box experience is very awesome. You have to make sure you stay within the weight limit, but you can't actually go too light. A lot of the times when you see gimbals shaking or vibrating, it's because the motors are actually powered for a higher load. So if you have a lighter setup and a higher calibration on the motors, you're gonna start seeing some crazy vibrations. So you can't go too light. Remember that. So there's no quick release plate on this guy, okay? There's a little 1/4-20 screw, and it honestly is weird. Like, you just can't take this camera off real quick and slap it onto your tripod. You have to unscrew this thing. So you're gonna have to add a miniature quick release plate. You can use an Arca Swiss. That's probably the lightest you should go, because every time you add something, you're adding more weight, and that's less weight you can use for your camera and lens. So I have this skeleton Arca Swiss quick release. It's got markings on it, which makes it super helpful when balancing the gimbal. This company also has a base plate. I totally forgot the name, but I'll link this in the description below. I should probably look these things up before I do the video. But you should get these ones. Another thing about the Zhiyun Crane is that updating the firmware is a goddamn nightmare. I just didn't like it, and I think it's 2017 and there should be a very user-friendly way to upgrade firmware. The reason I didn't like the Zhiyun Crane is because my main setup is a GH4 with some Voigtlanders, and Voigtlanders are all metal and heavy, which makes my setup plus the quick release 2.65 pounds. So for me, it had trouble holding a lot of the angles, not extreme angles, just a lot of angles. So I wanted something that could hold more weight and I could tune for future proofing. So if you're a person with a lightweight camera setup, get the Zhiyun Crane because it is the cheapest, and it honestly performs perfectly when you're within the weight limit. It performs on par with every other gimbal that you'll review. Now let's take a look at some footage and then we'll move on. Next up is the Pilotfly H2. Quick highlight reel, it holds up to 4.9 pounds, which puts it way above a lot of other pistol grip gimbals. It has a 32-bit controller, just like every other one we've been talking about, and it also uses the simple BGC software for calibration. This guy actually has locking tilt and pans. I don't think you should deduct points for that, because why would you want to point the gimbal straight down at the handle? It has a big battery built right into the handle so you can hook up your USB charger, and that battery lasts for quite a long time. It says 26 hours, and honestly I think it actually might be 26 hours. It's got a bunch of 1/4-20 mounting points so you can hook up your arms, and your microphones, and your monitors, and your Teddy Rupskins, and whatever you bring to a set. And lastly, it has a built-in Arca Swiss quick release plate, which is awesome. It's not as great as maybe 577 or 501, but whatever, it's got a built-in one, so you don't have to worry about it. And lots of stuff is Arca Swiss, right? Yay! Okay, so here's my review of the Pilotfly H2 then, in my opinion, and why you should or should not buy it. First of all, the out-of-the-box experience is very bad if you have a GH series camera. The reason behind this is because the pitch motor is on the wrong side, so you'll have to flip it. And if you have to flip the pitch motor, that means you'll have to open up the software and recalibrate the whole system. But for all you Sony users, it is out of the box and ready to fly. 'Cause it's Pilotfly H2. All that aside, I think this is probably the best gimbal out of the three that we're reviewing, if you can calibrate it. The ergonomics are absolutely amazing. I love this handle. The Zhiyun Crane has an okay handle. It's more like a small cylinder, but this guy is more like a pistol. It's got like a gun handle. I love it. This thing is built like a rock. It is super sturdy. The motors can handle whatever. I mean, it holds up to 5 pounds. It really does. And the battery lasts all day, a day. Like more than a day, 24 hours. Again, it has the Arca Swiss plate, which at least it has a quick release plate. A weird quirk that it has is that if you want to use the upside down mode, you actually have to turn off the gimbal, flip it upside down, and then turn it back on. The other gimbals, you can just kind of do whatever you want and it's in upside down mode. So in my opinion, if you have a GH series camera and you know how to use the simple BGC software, I would totally get this guy because you can mount a microphone on top of your camera. It'll hold a lot more lenses and whatever you need. If you don't know how to use the simple BGC software and you have a GH series camera, I would not buy this. If you have a Sony camera, I would totally buy this as well. If you have a heavier setup over the Zhiyun Crane. Let's take a look at some footage. Woo! And finally, last on the plate, we have the Ikan Beholder EC1. Quick highlight reel, it holds up to 4.6 pounds, but of course you can add more if you can tune the simple BGC software. It has 1/4-20 holes all over the place so you can mount all your goodies. It will spin, flip, pan, twist, tilt 360 degrees everywhere all over the globe and turn every which way. No problem. It has 32-bit controller, oh my god, it's same as all the other ones. It has a removable battery tray that holds 3 nuclear bomb looking batteries, and you can charge it and it will last over 20 hours, and it will last over 20 hours. It has all the cool follow modes and pan and whatever mode as all the other ones do. It has this weird PID adaptive algorithm, which basically means that it can hold a wider range of camera setups and still work pretty well out of the box. And the cherry on the top is that it has a built-in quick release plate that is 577501 Manfrotto compatible. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, and now for my personal review on the EC1 on how it might fit your camera needs. The out-of-the-box experience for the EC1 is freaking dynamite. It is great. Whether you have a GH series camera or a Sony, it's going to work. And because the pitch motor is on the correct side of the GH camera, you can flip out the screen without having to do any kind of crazy software stuffs. It holds about as much weight as the Pilotfly H2, and of course you can change that to make it hold more if you wanted to. The battery will just last not as long. It also seems to be able to hold your camera at very harsh angles compared to the H2 and the Zhiyun Crane. If you're holding the gimbal like completely sideways and it's looking this way, the other gimbals will start freaking out. You can actually hear the motors going, "No, stop!" Another great thing for me is that you're able to go into upside down mode just with the flip of the hat. But I think the biggest thing for me is that you're able to pseudo calibrate the EC1 just by this weird hold and lock position thing. Let me show you. Okay, so let's say you have an H2, a Zhiyun Crane, or some other gimbal. If you turn it on and the camera is not actually level, you will have to go through a calibration process. On the Zhiyun Crane, that involves opening up the Crashable app and positioning it into all these Kama Sutra positions until it thinks it's okay. You can start it up and then maybe it'll be level. The Pilotfly H2 will try to do this weird pseudo calibration thing, but honestly, all the auto calibrations I've ever seen in any gimbal don't really work that well. You really have to go into the software and tune it correctly and level everything out. However, on the EC1, you can actually hold it in any position for 2 seconds and then it'll think that's where level is. Okay, the gimbal was on and let's say it was not level. All you would have to do is hold it for 2 seconds anywhere, let go, and now it thinks that's what's level is, see? Ooh, I'm sideways. And let's say you want to go completely back any way you want. Any way you want it, just the way you need it. So that makes the setup really fast for the EC1. In my opinion, the bad things about the EC1 are the ergonomics. This handle is just a big cylinder. It doesn't feel great in your hand, it's just awkward. Another bad thing is the joystick will only allow you to go in a single direction at any given time. And the last thing that sucks is that everything is kind of sticky on it. All the adjustments and stuff are just hard. The H2 is kind of hard, but the EC1 just, it's not that great. Trying to slide the pitch or the roll, the quick release plate is a nightmare to get out. It'll feel like it somehow is completely stuck in there even though you loosened it, but I found that if you flick the little mechanism, it'll pop this little latch up and it'll let you take it out. That's because that latch gets stuck. Let's take a look at some footage.
She's never gonna find me. Did you think this was a happy ending? There is no ending, fool.
So in my opinion, if you have a Sony or a GH series and you want to hold some more weight and you want a great out-of-the-box experience, you should purchase the EC1 from Ikan. I will end up keeping this guy instead of the Pilotfly and the Zhiyun Crane and be on my merry way with my GH explorations. So get the Zhiyun Crane if you have a very small setup and you don't worry about future-proofing at all or worry about getting heavier things. It's cheaper and it works amazing and it feels great. Get the Pilotfly H2 if you have a Sony without a flip-out screen like the GH series. It is smooth, the ergonomics are great, the battery life is fantastic, it's just a great gimbal altogether. And finally, get the EC1 if you have a Sony and you want that quick level calibration. I love that thing. Or especially if you have a GH series camera and you have a heavier setup, I would definitely get the EC1 over the others. So I hope this video helped you decide which gimbal is right for you and right for your setup. Please give me a thumbs up and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would like to bring more content of filmings and tips and tricks and short films and all the other stuff that I can show you. So please, please like and subscribe. And thanks for watching and see you next time.